them J's on today, huh? Ooh, did you make those yourself? No, you didn't? Okay, those are pretty. They're blue, though, and that is what color? Who's blue team?
UCLA.
Yeah.
I'm unbiased.
I got you. Yeah, cheering for them. I see how you are, Tyler. It wouldn't be a media thing if I didn't hammer you.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, first off, how about the crowd? The crowd was awesome. We made sure the second half we kept it close to keep people here. It was all intentional. No, that's a joke. But the crowd willed us to victory, and that's why it's important to have a crowd. Is in these kind of games, it gets you 10 points. Just the atmosphere, the energy, people standing, people cheering. They're a fun group to watch. They're a fun group to be proud of because they, like we've talked about all the time, they exemplify exactly what Iowa stands for. And not always perfect, but they will compete, they will fight, and I was super proud of our guys. UCLA is really good. I told our guys going in, I thought they were, a top, 3-4 team in our league. I still believe that. I think they're really good. I think Donovan Dent's different. I think when you add that with Bilodeau and those ball screens, it's very difficult to defend. We didn't have an answer for that. Didn't have a great answer for offense in the second half either, and that's probably more my fault. So we'll correct that, but all in all, a good win.
Did you consider leaving Bennett in the game when you got it?
I wanted to leave Bennett in the game. My staff wouldn't let me. That's why I was yelling at him for the whole time. They were right. I was wrong. He rested, and he had 27, and so that's why you have a staff because you need your staff to be able to confront you. Like you need them to be able to confront you. And then because I coach on somewhat emotion, and they know that, when I get back after you, when it's like it doesn't go perfect, you have to be strong enough to stick with what you thought was the right move. And those guys were strong enough to stick with what they thought was the right decision. And they were right and I was wrong. And that's why you have a good staff. And that's also why you have a staff that you can confront and they can confront me, more importantly. I feel when they confront me sometimes that's a good thing because then I can correct my behavior.
You're looking at how well you shot the three ball in the first half compared to the first 10 minutes of the second half. Alvaro said that the ball has energy and it just kind of lacked energy to start the second half. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit?
I'd have to watch. I don't know why we couldn't get to second actions. We got stuck on first actions. Probably some adjustment they did defensively. I kept looking at it. It looked like it was the same thing, and we just didn't get to the next action. I also think we froze a little bit. They made the run, played not to lose. And then, we had to ice it out way early. I mean, we started to ice the thing out at like 7-8 minutes. And that's tough to do against a good team like that because then you're just hanging on. But our guys did a good job of hanging on, and we did a good job late of attacking the rim. So I was pleased with it.
We've seen a little bit of resiliency from your team in the Iowa State game. I know that didn't end the way you wanted it to, but to take runs and then stay in the game. Is that something that you preach to your team, or how does that get developed?
You recruit it. You recruit tough kids. I think the number one thing is like everybody talks about this culture thing of like you can just develop this immaculate culture. You just really can't. You have to get the right people. If you don't have the right people, then you're not going to be resilient. Now, you can strengthen some of that resiliency through some of our preseason, through some of our practices are very difficult. I put them in tough situations consistently to develop that resiliency, to understand how to respond. So yeah, we've developed some of it, but more importantly, I recruit kids that are resilient kids, that are tough kids, and I've got a staff that's resilient, and I just am the beneficiary of a lot of toughness. And then I get to look like I'm the one that did it. I'm not the one that did it.
There was a timeout in the second half, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you had stepped out of the huddle. Was that kind of a players only thing, or was there an assistant in there? I couldn't quite see.
I was probably going to say something I didn't want to say to the players, so then I stepped out of the huddle. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I say the stuff that I want to say to the players, to the staff, so that I don't say it. You just got to be careful with some of the younger kids. Like Bennett, we can be in a shouting match in the middle of the game and it's going to be fine. Tavion, like those guys have been with me, like that doesn't bother them. But I do, it's just the nature of how I coach. And so I also know that I can't do that with some of them. And so sometimes you just got to let them, you just got to take a break and let them have their conversation and then they'll come out and fix the problems. So it is by design. But me coaching, I remember, and I think it's probably a well-documented story, a long time ago, it's probably my second season, I remember I would sit down during games. So when I sat down, this is 13, 14 years ago, something like that, I would sit down. And my old assistant, who's now the women's coach at Northwest, every time I'd sit down, all I'd do is complain. Oh, we're not doing this, we're not, and I'd just pout and whine. And he goes, you know what? Why don't you just stand up the whole game? Because you don't whine when you stand up. And so I just stand up and coach on emotion. I don't know where that came from because you asked me about a huddle, but that story came to my mind.
You grew up rooting for Iowa, and now you get to coach this team and to be in this environment. What did that mean to you personally tonight to be on that sideline? You were bouncing up and down early in the game, a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know, I think you have to kind of be you as a coach. And so energy is a strength of mine. That's just what I do. And so I try to show it so that everybody else does it too. But to see the crowd for my team, because, you know, whether people think so or not, those guys had a lot of other options, including the 6 at Drake. That was a 31-win team. Alvaro had a lot of different options. A lot of those other guys did too, and they bet on our staff, and they bet on this place, and they want to flip it into what we think we can make it, and they see it trending that direction. It doesn't mean it's going to just keep going that direction. There's going to be some problems. There's going to be downs, and there's going to be some ups, but to see that is pretty cool, I think, for our guys that, like, man, if we work for something, good things can happen. Now, erase it, and, like, we're still process. The work is the win, and we'll focus on that.
6 of the 8 players you used today had at least 4 rebounds. How important is that?
I mean, we need to. We're not huge, so we have to do that. You know, we have to gang rebound, and we've said that. We work on boxing out 5 times a practice. I mean, it's every day, and we actually we're actually a really good box out team. But then there's a height differential there, and then Tavion was in foul trouble, and he's one of our best ball getters, so that hurt us too. And then Cam didn't feel the best, and so you know, he kind of gutted it out for a little bit, but then it's kind of wore down.
Defensively, can you walk through what you felt like went well in the first half, and then the second half? I mean, Dent's obviously good, but you really got going. What did you see between the first and then the second half defensively?
Second half, they didn't really run anything. They ran the same thing over and over. First half, they were trying to run their actions. We took them out of all their actions. Second half, they just went with the top ball with Dent and Bilodeau, and they're a problem. Like, they're good. And Sky Clark's obviously really good. You know, and then they spread it with shooting, and then those guys crash and they play pretty hard. And obviously, it's not Mick Cronin's first rodeo. He's a pretty good coach, and so it was. Yeah, they just did a good job of punishing us and exposing us and making adjustments.
I can't speak for everybody in here. I've only been on the beat for a few years, but that's about as loud as the crowd's been in those 3 years. Are you happy with the way things are trending right now in terms of attendance?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't look at milestones too much, but this is probably, because it's not necessarily something that is like a win or a loss milestone. It's more of a let's trend this direction. And you see, like, the thing that I see is I'll watch games on TV and I'll see crowds no matter what. And I think that's what needs to happen and has happened at this point for all the programs here, because that's what Iowa is. Like, we come out and we support. That's what I remember as a kid. Like, that's what it is. And so we appreciate it. We'll keep fighting for them, and we'll keep trying to prove it. And we hope that they continue to come out and help us win the game, because really they were the difference in the game.
I asked you a couple weeks ago about the free throw disparity between your margin. You were pretty deep in the negative. You get 24 free throws. UCLA only gets the line 12 times. Is that playing with the lead, being the aggressor in the second half, or is that maybe the refs figuring out how to, you know, officiate your team in particular? What do you chalk that up to?
I think we did a better job of attacking the rim today. You know, I think that we were able to keep them out of the paint a little more consistently than they generally do. They weren't able to go inside to Bilodeau as much as they normally do, so they weren't able to get to the free throw line quite as much. We turned them over a bunch, so they didn't have as much opportunity to get to the free throw line. So that's hopefully typical of what we generally have had in the past. So we'll see if we can continue that path.
What in your opinion makes this group fun to coach?
I mean, it's the people. I mean, it's the people. There's just that's what I love. I love practice. Like the games are fun for the players. I love practice. I absolutely love practice. I love seeing those kids. Like I literally go to practice. I hire some of my best friends, and they're not necessarily like all. It's just like, but I hire good friends, and they're good. They're good at their job too. Didn't just hire friends. I have players that are awesome kids. Like that's my job. That's what I get to do every day. And then we've got a media room that is unreal, and only writes positive things about the Hawkeyes, which is so cool. But they wear blue shoes at a UCLA game. So no, they're just great kids, and they're fun to coach, fun to be around. That's what we expected. I've told everybody that'll listen, just give me till semester. Just give me till semester. Just give me till semester. It was semester, and he's much better now. He's still got a ways to go. Still need to create habits and be as consistent as he could possibly be. There is a workload here that is hard. The workload here is really hard, and he had to get used to that. And then he had to learn the basketball side of it. And now he's starting to get that. And he, for all that, he not scared of the moment now. He ain't scared. I mean, he thinks he's the best player in the world, which is a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. But he was excellent tonight.
Bennett was talking about how this game kind of can also have a little bit of like a little bit of a warning that you can't take the gas off at halftime. How much of that is something that you want to be able to have your players kind of think on, that not only was this super positive with the fans and the environment and to be able to get this kind of win, but there did come with a little bit of a cautionary tale involved as well.
Yeah, you kind of knew they'd make a run. So it's tricky. You don't know if it was just the run that they should have made earlier or if you let off the gas. I thought we let off the gas a little bit at Iowa State. Not let off. I just didn't think we came with the same impose your will mentality. I thought we were okay coming out of half. I thought our energy was fine. A lot of that is when Tavion gets in foul trouble because he's a lot of our juice. And then he had to sit for 14, 15 minutes, and then he had to sit for 15-minute halftime. And he's got a lot of energy to him, and he gives us like our kind of alpha mentality. And when he's in foul trouble, it hurts us quite a bit. And so maybe that was it. But I thought tonight we actually did. I didn't think we executed offensively is probably more what happened. Thanks, guys.